Hey guys, so I hope you're all doing well. I'm kind of getting hyped for something that I might be going to do tomorrow. Something of the nature of Marvel, something that a lot of people are pretty big fans of, and something that I want to give a little bit of a take here with a little list, a little ranking. So I may or may not have been watching a lot of Marvel movies lately, partly because some of them I had already seen but wanted to watch again to get excited for a movie called Avengers Endgame that may not sound familiar. Um, but basically, essentially, there was a couple Marvel movies that I hadn't seen yet that I wanted to see those, so I could give a quality ranking of what I truly think of all of the Marvel movies. And I wanted to watch them all anyways, just to say that I watched all of them before I watched the final film in the MCU franchise, essentially. So the thing is, um, I have to say it's hard. It was hard to rank these. A lot of thought went into this list, I will say, and it was hard to do because a lot of these movies are really great, and it's very hard to pit them against each other. And there's a couple of them that aren't so great, and it's hard to compare them in a sense. And I'm going to discuss each of them in a fair amount of detail. The ones that I don't like as much, I may not discuss as much, but there is 21 films to discuss, so um, I don't want to make this too long of a video, but at the same time, I want to give some good detail and perspective on why I chose these rankings and just what I thought of them. So let's begin with number 21, the worst MCU movie. What do you guys think it is? Captain Marvel. Okay, so here's the thing about Captain Marvel. Okay, Marvel movies, yes, are always entertaining. They're always going to be entertaining, sure, sure. But did I really have that many good things to say about this movie at all? Not really. Not really at all. This movie had not really much of anything good going for it, in my opinion, and that's just sad to say. I feel sorry for saying that, but some of the action towards the beginning was entertaining before the character of Brie, Carol Danvers became overpowered and just basically gave the villains no chance, and there was basically no sense of um, like urgency in like the battle, like oh my god, she might be in danger, or there was no like big final fight at the end where it was like oh my god, she might get killed by this villain, or in like she basically kicked Jude Law's ass, who I didn't really think played a good villain anyways, but like she like didn't even make it like a contest as to whether or not she would win the fight against him, and like I just thought that was so like boring, and like they made her character really overpowered by like flying through spaceships and stuff, and like I wasn't a big fan of the story. Also, the story that was told in that also wasn't the greatest, just in the fact that um, it I don't even know. I just the storyline, whatever these people were thought to be bad, but they turned out to be good or something. Like it just wasn't very entertaining to me. The story itself, anyways, and then the action, like I said, was just too overpowered at times. Like so, the only good things I have to say about this were Sam Jackson as Nick Fury was great, acting wise, and Brie Larson as Captain Marvel was great, acting wise. Not like what her powers did, but acting wise. That's the only good things I have to say about the movie at all. And I guess Agent Coulson was kind of cool too. But okay, so number 20, Age of Ultron. What a terrible yet somehow enjoyable movie, but only to an extent. That's what I'll say about that one. Um, was it somewhat enjoyable? I I guess. Was the action poorly construed and like so badly set up and didn't really have that good of a rhyme or reason? Not that I mean a lot of Marvel movies don't have a good rhyme or reason for what they do, but this really didn't. Especially like the end fight scene, it just felt kind of like thrown together, like they were just fighting these random like alien things at the end that Ultron summoned, and it was just like a hot mess. And the action was a hot mess, and the story was a hot mess along with it. So overall, just not that good of a movie, but I wouldn't call it bad. Number 19, Iron Man 3. Definitely one of the worst. This, just because it's 19, this is not getting you out of trouble, Iron Man 3. I'm sorry, you're not that good, okay? Iron Man 3 is a severely over earned movie. It's no, it's in the top 10 for most earned movies in the box office worldwide. Why is that? Why is that? That's worse than the fact that Call of Duty MW3 is the best selling Call of Duty of all time. I mean, that's a little more understandable, but like still, but like Iron Man 3, the best selling, it's the best selling standalone Marvel movie, like that's not like the Avengers. Why? I mean, actually, Black Panther is better selling, but still, but like, why? Iron Man 3, why did you make that much money? Like, you didn't deserve that. Like, okay, Don Cheadle, War Machine, is literally a human at the end, and they make him like overpowered character, and like storyline not that entertaining. I mean, kind of cool with how Iron Man has to like run away, but I guess like he meets up with this kid, and the kid like becomes like his idol, and that just felt kind of like cliche to me. But that's besides the point. Like Don Cheadle like trying to be like Jesus or something, like what the hell is that? And like Shane Black's like writing where Iron Man like calls someone a pussy at some point and just says like retarded things because it's Shane Black, and he wrote The Predator where Thomas Jane cracks jokes about um, someone's mom's pussy being rated E for everyone. So like, I mean, it's Shane Black, guys. Like Shane Black, what did you do, man? Why did Kevin Feige? Why did you let Shane Black take this? Like what's wrong with you, Kevin Feige? Was it Kevin Feige? I don't know, but like that was a mistake. I will say that. I mean, was it somewhat entertaining with the action? Yes. Was it ridiculous and over the top and really stupid at times? Yes. Really stupid at times. Like, holy crap. And why did Pepper Potts get powers? Like, she is Iron Man or Tony Stark's like, girlfriend, not like second Avenger, or I don't even know. Just like some characters, like it's not like I'm not trying to be sexist, but like I think some characters should deserve like not to be superheroes, if that makes any sense. But like I'm gonna get into that more. But the next one is Thor: The Dark World. Um, I mean, like a lot of this movie was enjoyable, yes, but a lot of it was also very dull, and like I mean, like the whole like all the Asgardian stuff, like towards the beginning was like pretty dull, and like in this one they make it so that like Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, she gets like these powers this time, and once again like someone that I don't think really should have had powers, like, and then it almost felt like a Star Wars movie because like most of it was spent in Asgard, and a lot of it was just like ships chasing around each other, and just like it just got way blown out of proportion with the stuff they did, and like Jane Foster basically became like a queen like in Asgard because she had to be like protected, and like she like donned all this like dress, and it's just like she's a human being from Earth. Like, oh my god, like it was so painful, and just like I mean, I guess it was kind of cool with the villain story. I mean, and the noble sacrifice by Loki, not like wait, not okay, like kind of stupid, but I mean, it was definitely somewhat entertaining nonetheless. But that's where it falls on the list. Number 17, Black Panther. Black Panther. it's a controversial pick for me, putting it this low. I was originally going to put it like in the realm of like Age of Ultron, but it kind of worked its way up a little bit, just because I watched Captain America: The Winter Soldier recently, or no, Captain America. He was in Captain America: Civil War. My apologies. He was in Civil War, and I realized Chadwick Boseman, Timothy T'Challa, is actually a really badass character, and I admire him. And I thought his character is really good, but I think what I didn't like about Black Panther was the setting that it created. It just felt not very appealing to me. I did think Michael Jordan's acting was good. It felt a little weird to see someone of his demeanor trying to like fight for the top place in Wakanda. Like I was like, why is that a thing? Like just it just felt weird. I don't know. I mean like there's definitely some enjoyable parts of action, but that's like a lot of Marvel movies, but like nonetheless like it wasn't that great. I mean, like the comeback story when he like almost dies and then comes back. I mean, that's pretty cool. And like the technology that Shuri shows off is pretty interesting. And like Andy Serkis's the character with like the arm, like that was kind of entertaining. I don't know. There was definitely some entertaining things about that, so I think that's why it earned a little bit of a higher place. Um, Next on the list would have to be Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Definitely, definitely a letdown from the first one, in my opinion. I just did not like the whole. It just felt like a lazy storyline to me with the whole father, him finding his father, and then his father turns out to be evil, and then he has to kill him. And it just didn't excite me that much, and it was very, very forgettable. Nothing really unique about the storyline to me. Just I mean, Yondu's death is really sad. I mean, like, that was like a good noble sacrifice. I mean, that's cool. But, like, I don't know. I can't think of a whole lot of good things that went on for that movie. I think Kurt Russell played kind of a weird role in that movie. But, like, I don't know. And, like, I think Baby Groot is alright. But just saying, like, everyone's like, oh my god, Baby Groot, Baby Groot. Like, that's kind of stupid. Whatever. Like, you know. Oh, but anyways, next on the list, Captain America: The First Avenger. This is an interesting one, because a lot of people will probably say that this is like up there in one of their favorites, or maybe not. Maybe it's more of like middle tier. But either way, definitely not one of my favorites. I do think the part where he's like coming out of the chamber when he gets injected with a super serum is pretty badass. And like when he has to fight the Red Skull and like the chase scene with that and the plane was pretty badass. And like, but like I don't know, like the whole like setting of like being in like the old timey war, um, just didn't really amuse me that much. And that's just my opinion. I mean, I know that that for many critics that probably wouldn't make it a bad movie. I mean, it doesn't by any means, but just as far as how much I enjoyed it, that's where I would rank it. When he's like skinny Tony Stark or skinny Steve Rogers, and it just didn't like click with me that well when I saw it. Um, Next on the list, it would have to be The Incredible Hulk. Now, putting The Incredible Hulk over the first Avenger was quite a decision to make for me because I honestly wasn't sure which way I should go. Because Incredible Hulk is kind of a cheesy movie in a lot of senses, but it's also entertaining. And the first Avenger to me is just kind of a boring movie. So they're both like not that great in their own different ways. But The Incredible Hulk, I thought Edward Norton played his role pretty well, even though I find it really bizarre that he didn't want to be in the rest of the Avengers movies. I think it was like he didn't want to be tied to one role, which just like blows my mind. But anyways, I thought the story was kind of cool with like the whole intensity of not knowing like when he would have his next incident or like like if his anger was going up or not. And like, I mean, the villain seemed kind of like subpar, I will say, but like, um, I, I thought it built good tension around like the Hulk and kind of provided like a good backstory as to like how he got to be the way he is with like this like use of like gamma radiation or whatnot. Like that was kind of cool. Um, Next on the list has to be Thor, the first Thor. Um, Thor 1 is a classic movie in some sense of the word, not in all senses, because a lot of it, once again, is felt like a little bit more like not as bad as Thor: The Dark World, but it still felt like it had the boring Asgardian stuff going for it that I just didn't find that entertaining. But a lot of it is like Thor, like um, finding who he is and trying to rise to the occasion to be the king and trying to live up to his destiny. And everyone's like, "Well, Thor, you aren't ready for that." Like, and that's kind of like interesting to see that interaction. And like when he lands on Earth and he has to like have he has like his antics that go on there where he's like meeting Jane Foster and like he has to deal with Agent Coulson too, and he has to go on a mission to get his hammer back so he can become superpowered again. Like that was all like kind of cool. The whole like Earth journey, just like a lot of the Asgardian stuff just wasn't as entertaining, but I liked the whole like Earth journey where he's like finding his way on Earth with Jane Foster, and like there's some good bits of comedy in there too. I thought that made it kind of funny. I always appreciate that in a Marvel movie as long as it's not too over the top, which it really hasn't ever been. But that's just my opinion. But I thought it was entertaining overall. Just certain points here and there were just like like why is this amusing to me? Like I don't know. But next on the list is a movie that I think it's a little weird when you think about it in a logical sense, like about the villain, like Iron Man 2. So like the villain is a guy who uses electrical whips for weapons, and his name is Whiplash. And he has a pet bird for a friend and can control things with computers. So like what? And Sam Rockwell was trying to be like Tony Stark 2.0, like whoa, Sam Rockwell, you're so cool, like oh my god. And like he's like no, like his character's like so annoying in that. But like it does make for an interesting story because like him and Rhodes, War Machine, played by Don Cheadle, have to team up to stop this guy, and that was a great like OG team up, and and also it introduced Black Widow, which is actually pretty cool. I gained an appreciation for Black Widow after watching Iron Man 2, because and the Winter Soldier, of course, but I'll get to that. But Iron Man 2 was the real first instance that we saw Black Widow, and she kicked a bunch of security guards' asses while Jon Favreau like kicked one security guard's ass, and like it was just so badass. Like the OG Black Widow, Natasha doing her thing, like that was so cool. And like I mean like it's kind of like a weird story overall, like from a logical standpoint, because they have to stop this guy who's like trying to use electricity to like enslave Tony Stark, and like they have to defeat him, and it's just like is it like that cool though? But it's like it had a lot of really great moments though, I do have to say, like some really great moments in that series, but just like the villains like so. But and there's like some other parts with like Sam Rockwell, they're just like why like when he talks about like giving him his bird, like can you not like but next on the list anyways is Spider-Man Homecoming. Now I know there are probably people out there who think this should be like top 5, but it is number 11. It's middle of the list, so it's not that low, but it's also not that high. Was it an entertaining movie? Of course it was. It was very entertaining. I love Ned in that movie. He's so funny, and the whole like twist with the villain being um, his girlfriend's father, and then like him having to meet him and fight him, and that was really intense. And the whole like fight scene at the Washington Monument was really cool, and like there was definitely some very like good memorable parts, and it was definitely a funny movie somewhat throughout. But I mean, was it really that enjoyable for me? Not a ton. I mean, it's hard to explain what I didn't like about it. It's just like through and through, like when I look at it overall, like on an overall movie landscape, it just like when you put it all together, like it just doesn't seem like that great of a movie. Like I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, like maybe I'm just partial to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but this was an entertaining movie, I will say. Number 10, a movie that I thought would be higher on the list, but it actually really isn't. And I'm going to actually talk a good amount about this one, because this one's interesting. Captain America Civil War. So, when I first saw this movie in theaters, I mean, it was really intense and exciting to see all these heroes come together and battle each other. And at the end, Iron Man or Captain America almost kills Iron Man, which is really crazy. Like at the time, because you're like, oh my God, Iron Man might die. Like that's crazy. But then it's like, nah, he won't do it. No one really dies in this movie, and you're like, okay. But but like at the time, I wasn't really thinking of that. Like when I first saw the movie, and like now that I've seen it again, like I realized I put a lot of like points of logic into it that just make it seem like not that enjoyable. Like the fact that Captain America didn't want to agree with this accord, so like just because of that, he has to fight Tony Stark and all the other team of Avengers. Like what? And like, okay, what caused them to specifically team up with you just to do that? Like, it was like some people were just on a team just for the sake of being there, and like Captain America was a big source of it because like if he really just like signed the accord, he might have been okay, or if like vice versa, Iron Man was like, okay, you know, we won't go after you, whatever, but like also like Iron Man was going after Cap to try to like get him, like capture him, and in that moment, like Captain America is like, okay, I need to bring together a team of fighters so we can fight. Like, what? Like if you think about it, like really a lot more, like you're just like, why was that necessary? Like, and when they're like in the airport and they're just like staring at each other, and Captain America's just like, what do we do now? Or one of them's just like, what do we do now? And then Captain America's like, we fight. I mean, do you though, Cap? Because you could like, I mean, resolve this in more of like a mature way rather than just like punching each other. But okay, and like at the end, like they all happen to like coincidentally converge on this one location in Siberia, which was this guy's whole plan all along to try to split them apart by getting them to fight each other because he knew that he couldn't kill them, but they could because they would. He knew that they would totally turn on each other just for this one thing that he showed of Bucky Barnes killing Tony Stark's parents. And if anything, like Iron Man should just kill Bucky Barnes. Why would he kill Captain America? Even though he's Bucky Barnes' best friend, yes. But like, why would he kill Captain America? Like, it's so like far fetched when you really think about it in like a logical sense. But like for like the casual viewer, it's not like it's really entertaining, I'm sure. But like, I feel like this movie in particular is asking you to think more deeply about like, you know, things like why do superheroes save the world but yet they let all these innocent people die, and why do you know, why are they here if they're just gonna kill other people anyways? So it feels like it's one of those films that's trying to make you think. So I have to take it seriously in the sense of, is this logical though to be doing this kind of fight? And like they just casually bring in Ant-Man, casually bring in Spider-Man. Like, okay, I mean, Spider-Man was cool, Ant-Man was cool, but like, did they really need them though? Like, they were just bringing them in just for the sake of building up a huge fight. Literally, that's the only reason. And it's just like, when you think about it from a really logical standpoint, it's actually just kind of dumb. But like, it was an entertaining movie, so like a lot of like the storyline like was told really well, even though it in retrospect it seems retarded. Like, does that make sense? Like the story was told well, and it kept me engaged throughout. Like I was into it, even though the whole concept seemed a little like out there. So I was still into it, but it's still number 10, so it's not that high. So number 9, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange. Oh God. Doctor Strange. To be honest, I don't know if it deserves to be that high, but it is there. So I'll have to stay with that ranking. I think it deserves to be there. I just haven't seen it in a long time and don't remember a lot from it, but I remember thoroughly enjoying it. And the ending, when he keeps dying and rewinding time over and over again to defeat this villain, is great. And like the comedy with him and like his cape is great. And like the librarian guy, he's a memer, he's funny. And like and the bald woman, she was like a cool like mentor, I guess. It wasn't, I wouldn't call it an extremely memorable movie that I saw, but like it was really entertaining. It didn't have the most like relatable or like really enjoyable story with all the doctor stuff and all the like science to it, and just like some of the stuff was like really out there in that movie, but it was really entertaining, and it was a good story, even though it was like kind of like an out there story. If that makes any sense. So next on the list, number 8, Iron Man, the original Iron Man. Granted, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, like a long time. Like I'm talking at least 8 years probably since I've seen this movie. So I can't speak for it a lot, but all I remember is when I first saw it, it was really great, and I'm pretty sure it did prompt an additional watch. So it had to have been great if it prompted an additional watch, because I'm pretty sure it was bought on DVD, and then I watched it again on DVD afterwards, and it was really enjoyable. I remember the really badass scene where he fights his way out of the cave. Really good old OG moment when he first like dons the suit, and then he becomes who he is and just starts building an empire of like this suit, and like this is who he is. This is Tony Stark. This is Iron Man, and like that's just really cool. But it was a while ago, but really entertaining origin story to start the MCU at number 8. Number 7, Ant-Man. Okay, Ant-Man. This ranking, I think if I were to tell my past self that this is where the film would rank in the MCU, I think my past self would probably be kind of surprised, because going into this movie, it's Ant-Man. Like I mean, is it gonna be that good though? But like, it really was. It was good because it had Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, and honestly, like there couldn't have been a better cast choice than Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. Like, he's so funny. I love Paul Rudd, and I love him in Ant-Man. Like, he's so perfect for the role. Like, no better person could have been cast for that role. And like, he's really funny. A lot of great humor in that. And Michael Pena is also good in that, with like how he like tells the stories of like Ant-Man, and like the past and like what had gone on. Like that's just like really funny, and and there's a lot of good memes with like the Thomas the Tank Engine going big and fucking the bad guy or whatever. Just a lot of great moments, and great origin story of how like Ant-Man, he became one with the ants and became who he was. Like some people would think like, yeah, that's kind of cheesy, but like I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool actually. Like I really like that, and like the whole like backstory of like Hank Pym and like mentoring him to be the new Ant-Man to help stop this guy. I guess I mean the villain was a little bit like basic, I guess, kind of just like nothing really special about him. So that's probably the biggest like problem I had with it. Was just like, is the villain that good though? Like, but like really cool action, really badass, really funny. Great film. Next on the list, number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is a great classic movie that I saw not too long ago, actually. Love the soundtrack of it. Love the origin story of all the different individual characters and how they came to be. They basically converged with one another and became locked in this prison and had to break out. And that's what forged their bond by breaking out of that prison. And they all each had their own unique story to it, which was really cool. And the movie introduced quite a lot of humor, which was really cool. I thought the humor in it, I wouldn't say it was like top-notch humor for the MCU. Not that humor is like everything, but it was great. And a lot of great action with defeating this guy, Ronan, who I guess was like sent from Thanos, which is kind of interesting link for that. And yeah, it was really entertaining. I thought Groot in this one was more badass than Baby Groot in the second one, which is also why it would rank a little higher. Because OG Groot is really badass, and he makes the noble sacrifice at the end, and that's like my man Groot, like coming through, like that was so clutch. So next on the list, we're getting close to the top. Number 5, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Some would argue that this might be the best film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I would have to argue against that. The picks that come above this, some of them might be controversial, so I hope you guys understand my opinion, but it was a really hard choice to make, so the choice that I made was the choice that I made. But Ant-Man and the Wasp, it is an amazing movie. It is an amazing movie. We're in the territory of amazing movies, guys. Like, do not, just because Ant-Man and the Wasp is number 5, doesn't make it just a good movie. It was an amazing movie. Did it have some weird, like, bizarre plot elements to it? Like, with the lab shrinking and the whole, like, logic of that, and, like, the fact that a guy could just shrink his lab and take it with him, and the whole, like, going into the quantum realm thing, and the whole process for that was just not incredibly enjoyable, but amazing action, amazing humor, and love the ending when they bring Hank Pym's wife, I believe, back, and Paul Rudd's amazing as always as Ant-Man, and the Wasp, great addition to the story. Like she was great. And I will say, there was like a villain in that movie who was like chasing after them the whole time. Like nothing really stood out that much about that villain in my opinion, but like the movie was still like incredible though, because like the humor in that is like top notch. Not I mean once again like humor is not everything, but like I'd say that was definitely like one of the funniest Marvel movies I've ever seen, and like that had so many good things going for it. Aside from like a few little plot elements that just felt like a little like bruh, like that's just me though. Number 4 on the list, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Okay, guys, Captain America: The Winter Soldier is such a great movie. I neglected to see it for quite some time. I saw it literally 3-4 days ago. something like that. But not too long ago, and I was missing out. That's for sure because Captain America: The Winter Soldier is so badass. So many great action scenes. Love Bucky Barnes in this because like, okay, this is my thing about Bucky Barnes. He is so badass in this, even though he's the villain. Like he is as absolute most badass character in this. Compared to Infinity War, he wasn't that badass, but like in this, he is so badass. Like I love like the weapons he uses, like when he throws the disc under Nick Fury's like van and blows it up, or like when he uses like his hand to like fight against everything, and just like so many great things going for him. And he's just like a cold-blooded assassin that's like sent in by Hydra to try to kill Captain America and Black Widow, and I guess the Falcon too. But great, great movie. Had a lot of good things going for it. Story was really well told through and through, with how basically this guy was trying to use Bucky Barnes as the new Winter Soldier to try to eradicate the Avengers because he was basically trying to bring back Hydra in a sense. The movie's a little bit more complicated than that, and that's why I wasn't a huge fan of it because a movie like that, like a Marvel movie like that, like shouldn't be that complicated, but it kind of was. But like, still, nonetheless, like great movie. Like loved all the action scenes, like the one with Nick Fury almost dying, like that was insane, and like the one where Bucky like chases after Cap, what's her face, Black Widow and the Falcon, and they all like fight against each other, like so great. Like love that, and like the end scene when Bucky saves Cap is like so amazing. Like I can't say enough good things about that movie, but I mean like it's a really really good movie. This is where it gets to the nitty gritty because at this point it's really hard to rank these because it's hard to say what they really didn't have going for them and what compared to what they did have going for them because the Winter Soldier had so many great things going for it and it was such an amazing movie. Like I loved it. But nonetheless, number 3 on the list, this one to some may be a controversial pick. The Avengers. The OG Avengers. I mean, guys, it's the OG team coming together from Nick Fury, like, so great through and through. Like, okay, was there some parts that were a little slower, like when they were rebuilding the ship for a while? Yes. Yes. Was it a great villain, great humor, great story, great saving the world, great first ensemble when they're all like together and they all like split up to like take on like these things invading New York? Like it's such a badass like OG movie that like I remember like seeing it in theaters and it was just so enjoyable. And then like I saw it again recently, like still like really enjoyable. Like is it kind of like strange how that guy is like controlled by Loki? Sure, like it's a little strange, but like really enjoyable. Like it kind of is, I guess, a little ridiculous maybe with the fact that like things are like flying around like crazy, but like it's an amazing movie. I mean, like I think it's an amazing movie. I wouldn't call it really that boring at all. It's mostly a really enjoyable movie throughout. I don't see the hate for it really. I think it's definitely one of the best in the MCU. Is it the best in the MCU, though? No. And here's why. So, number 2, Avengers Infinity War. Okay, so I literally just watched this movie not even like less than an hour ago. And it's been like 40 minutes since I recorded this video. But Infinity War is an amazing movie. Regardless of the sad, tragic ending that we see, the sad, tragic ending that we see to our heroes is also what makes it so great and why it's such an enjoyable movie. Is that part enjoyable? Not necessarily, but does it make the movie really great? And it has a lot of emotional ties to it, yes. And it like the ending just like it caps it all off as like, you know, we've come so far and this is what happens, and it's just like wow, like that's crazy. Like because like in my opinion, I have to say like Avengers Infinity War is basically like Avengers 1 like supercharged, because Avengers 1 was like the OG formation of a group to save the world. And now Avengers Infinity War is like a formation of a group to save the entire universe. And it's literally Guardians of the Galaxy coming together, you know, Thor, Captain America, Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Bucky, um, all of them coming together to try to save the universe from this one purple asshole, Thanos, who is a pretty cool villain. Really annoying with his whole mentality of that he has to kill the entire universe. Like, dude, that's or half the universe. Like, dude, that's like a dick move. But a good villain. But good villain. He plays a good part in the movie. Josh Brolin. But like, the only thing I will say, like, there's two things that I have wrong with the movie now that I've seen it again. But first of all, I have to say I love how seeing all the older movies, all the other MCU movies, like a lot of it is like connected. Um, like Ragnarok is pretty somewhat connected to Infinity War at the beginning, and like when you see Bucky Barnes in Wakanda, that's because at the end of Civil War he gets shipped to Wakanda. So like there's like little things here and there that like you can pick up on, and Doctor Strange tries to get Tony Stark to call uh, uh, Steve Rogers, but like he won't because he still has some beef with Steve Rogers over Civil War. So there's just like little things that are like sprinkled throughout the movie, like through and through, that are just like little references to the movies. So like if you watch them, you're like, wow, that's kind of cool that I know that. But like there's two things that I have wrong with it. One thing is certain characters just aren't all that interesting. Um, this is it's still an amazing movie, but some of the characters just aren't all that good. Like Bucky Barnes, like when you compare him to the Winter Soldier, like in this movie, he's pretty useless. Like literally, he's just firing a gun. Nothing really special about that. Like he doesn't have any like cool high tech weapons like up his sleeve that he like throws in to like kill a bunch of monsters. Like he literally just has a mechanical metal arm and a gun. Like okay, and like Vision, like in Civil War, he was actually like kind of a formidable opponent, but in this movie, like he can't even really defend himself, and that's just like Vision. What are you doing, mate? Like, come on. Like they just make him look like such a bad like hero. Like he can't do anything. Like he's useless. And then like Star-Lord, like he's only there to fuck up the whole plan to try to like stop Thanos, and that's just like so annoying because like the context of that when you think about it is like, um, you know they were about to get the gauntlet off, and they weren't even talking about Gamora, and then all of a sudden Peter Quill jumps in and he's like, "Where is Gamora?" Like, okay, we weren't talking about that, but that's fine. Like, and then like he finally says like, "I had to do it" or something like that. Like, Peter Quill, fuck you, Peter Quill. But like, the other thing is like the setting, or the scene changes of the movie are just like they felt a little like odd timed, like because they're switching between different areas. Like one is like where like the Guardians of the Galaxy team and Iron Man and Spider-Man are all on this one planet, and then another one is where like Captain America and all these other guys are on Wakanda, and like the back and forth between that and like between that and like and then you have the third one where it's like Thor, Groot, and Rocket are all on like this planet trying to get this weapon and it's just like the back and forth between that. Just the transition didn't seem all that smooth to me, but like nonetheless, like still like an amazing movie. But like, I mean, the one scene that like I will say like I realized like, is that enjoyable though? Was the scene where they're with Peter Dinklage's character from Asgard, and he's having to make the new weapon to basically to use to defeat Thanos. And like actually though, like in Ragnarok, they were like, you do not need a hammer, but yet he had to go to this place to get a new hammer or like a weapon. So it's just like you kind of go against the rule for that, and like the time that's spent like doing that, like to get that weapon, just feels like excessive to the movie. Like that could have easily like been a lot shorter. Like he could have just like been like, okay, here's your weapon. All right, see you later. Like like there the parts with that just felt like unnecessary to me. I don't know, but like it still is. With that all being said, it still is top two because the stakes are so high and it's just so intense. With like all these people's lives being on the line, and then how it all ends in the end with a lot of people losing their lives. It's just so emotional and so intense, and it has great acting, and it does have great humor. So it does have a lot of really great things going for it. It's not like the perfect movie. Now, what I would call the perfect movie is a movie I would like to call Thor Ragnarok. Now, I know a lot of people will probably be like, well, I mean, is it a perfect movie though? But the problem is, there's no real such thing as a perfect movie. But I think, in my opinion, Thor Ragnarok is about as close as you can get to a perfect movie. Some people had issues with the villain, Hela. I thought she was portrayed really well, had a really good, fair storyline with her. She wanted to be ruler of Asgard again because she was the eldest of Odin, which makes sense. She's the eldest. She feels entitled to be the leader, and she was banished, so she wanted to get her revenge. Like that's a actually pretty plausible story, and like, she introduces herself and makes a pretty good intimidation of everyone at Asgard. And this bald guy, I forget his name, but like he kind of like caters to her will. But that was just because of the fact that he didn't want to die, and he wanted to, basically serve her in whatever way he could. And they would say like, oh well, I mean like he only served as just someone to give exposition to for her. I mean yes, but like at the same time like he was by her side so that like he didn't want to die, like basically like he was just desperate not to die. But at the end, like he makes the noble sacrifice anyways by fighting his way with his machine guns to basically save the people on the ship, which is pretty badass, like actually. Like anyways, like other things about that movie though, like I love the whole story of like Thor is like, has to get his powers back, and he gets sent to this place called Sakaria, I think it's called. And like he finds the Hulk there, which is like hilarious, and there's like so many funny parts in that, like when he's like fighting the Hulk and interacting with the Hulk, and then they have to escape together. Like that was all so funny and entertaining, and like this movie is just really hilarious through and throughout, and I love it for that. And like the action's really fun at the end with him like fighting all the baddies, and there's also like a great story with Valkyrie, because she like was from Asgard, but she like ran away to try to like exile herself from that, and then she was like, yeah, I just have to face my problems head on, and she like becomes a cool badass warrior with like all this cool armor, and like just so many good things going for that movie. Like I can't say enough good things about that movie. Like in Jeff Goldblum's character as the Grandmaster is great. Like he was funny, but at the same time an effective villain, I felt like. And even in the beginning, like if you watch Thor: The Dark World, it would make sense what happens in the beginning, because essentially Odin goes missing and they have to track him down, and like that whole closing of that storyline was good, and just like through and through, there's like I really can't say anything bad about this movie, and it sets up perfectly for Infinity War as well, because they end up running into Thanos' ship, which literally is shown in Infinity War at the beginning, and it leads right into it. So like that's the perfect movie in my opinion. Like I can't say anything bad about it, but that's why I would say Thor Ragnarok is the best MCU movie, contrary to what some may think. But I know this has been a long video, 50 minutes long, but you know, I'm talking about all Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, and it excites me to be able to talk about all of them, and it's really fun to talk about all of them. But now I'm just really excited for Endgame, because I have high hopes that it will be the best one, will be the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. I really hope it is. I really hope they kick Thanos' ass and get some good revenge, because ultimately they're the Avengers. They're supposed to avenge like people's deaths. Like okay, like can I just like get like a theory out of the way here? So like okay, in the first Avengers movie, they have at the end credits they show Thanos, and throughout like a lot of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, the Infinity Stones are mentioned. In the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, there's one Infinity Stone, and like I believe one of the Captain America movies, one of the Infinity Stones is mentioned. In obviously in Age of Ultron, one of the Infinity Stones is mentioned because Vision, and just like it's definitely something that's mentioned throughout the movie. So I feel as though like Marvel knew that it was going to lead to literally Infinity War from the beginning, from 2008 when they first started Iron Man, or maybe not 2008, but at least from 2012 when they started the Avengers, because it's always been hinted throughout the movies, and like I feel like they knew that it would end this way, that it would turn out to be this huge final culmination of heroes coming together to try to save the universe, and they knew that it wouldn't quite work out, and then they knew that, you know, there would be this epic end game where they come back for one last final stand to end it all. And like that's just like the cherry on top of the cake, or whatever you want to call it. But like I think that's their plan all along, because they knew that that would make it a really good franchise, and I think it's made an incredible franchise, and I can't wait. I think this is going to be, you know, the end of an era, but at the same time, like the most exciting end to an era you could ever see. I am so excited to see Endgame tomorrow, and cannot wait. Here's hoping I will not get spoiled for it tomorrow, but because I've had that happen before in movies, but nonetheless, really hyped for it. Like I hope my high expectations don't get shot down and it ends up being like a bad movie, but like, I mean, it's Marvel and it's the Avengers, so I have faith that they'll do good, especially since Infinity War was good. But that's enough ranting for tonight, though. I gotta get some sleep, and in about I don't know, like 15 hours, I'll be seeing the Avengers. So the Avengers Endgame. So like major hype. So, anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Sorry it was kind of long, but nonetheless, leave a like if you have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.